What's going on? Welcome to Asian Cosell. So I got Manosphere Highlights Daily here, and this is a female expert confirms women can't buy high status men. Birth rate is, of course, declining too. So let's get into the video. And this is pure gold. Of course, one of his quotes.
This idea called the mating gap. It's a term a sociologist called Marcia Enhorn coined. She was doing research on egg freezing, and she found all the women that she spoke to were the reason that they were freezing their eggs is because they couldn't find a partner.
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Yesterday's video about a woman being a victim of paternity fraud started off with something interesting, something we're diving into today. Check this out.
I was a single woman, and I spent years trying to find the perfect person. And the older I got, the more I realized I was more interested in being a mother before I got any older than I was in pursuing a person.
Oh, so when a woman says perfect, we already know what that means. But you know what makes it even better? When an expert says it. Because if a female expert says it, then suddenly it's not misogyny anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's just facts now. So today, we're breaking down a golden take from a global population analyst about why fertility rates and birth rates are falling. And spoiler alert, it's pure gold. And shout out to Mr. Richard for sending this video. Salute!
I love it.
Keep sending in those video topic requests, damn it. Now let's get into it. Now it's time for us to get into this and do what we gotta do. Because we many.
I've heard lots of discussions about why women would choose not to have children in terms of what's happening in society and culturally as well. But how are young men particularly feeling?
There's a difference between having fewer children and not having any children at all. There's I suppose a different mindset. One of the biggest reasons why people don't have children is because they can't find a partner. That's men or women. What we're seeing now in Europe, and it's likely that other countries will follow in this trend, is a situation where it's men of the lowest income who are most likely to remain childless. And that's involuntarily childless. So it's not that they decide when they're young they don't want to have children. It's that they assume that they will have children, and then as they get older, it doesn't happen. So the poorest men are the most likely to end up not having the children that they wanted. And part of this is likely this idea called the mating gap. It's a term a sociologist called Marcia Enhorn coined. She was doing research on egg freezing, and she found all the women that she spoke to were the reason that they were freezing their eggs is because they couldn't find a partner. She realized that part of the reason they couldn't find a partner is that they were looking for someone of their level of education or higher. Whereas we have this situation now where in 60% of countries, women are achieving more in education than men. So if you've got a situation where women are more educated, but less likely to partner with who is less well educated, there's a pool of men who aren't eligible, I suppose.
Yep. Of course, again, when more education a woman gets, and that's fine if you want to get an education. But what happens is you're trying to chase the top tier of men, and you want someone on your educational level. You want that man to make more money than you. And this is what happens. You know, modern women, the feminism. But let's listen in.
I just want you to take a second and pat yourself on the back if you've known this for years and actually used it to improve your life. You're winning. You are winning, brother. Buy yourself a beer, sit back and enjoy every sip because you are winning at life. Meanwhile, society is out here acting confused like we don't all see what's happening. Like I always say, women are women first. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. The moment the sociological landscape changes and women start making their own money, do you think they suddenly say,
you know what, I'm going to be the main breadwinner now. My man doesn't need to make more money than me. I got this, babe. You just stay home and take care of the household.
Is this the best survival game ever made?
This is the aircraft
No.
carrier shelter you see.
Heck no.
Ha!
Doesn't work.
That's never how this works. Instead, we end up right here, where women are freezing their eggs, waiting for that perfect man, aka a high status, high earning man, who, surprise, surprise, doesn't exist in large numbers. The foolishness. And this is why their frozen eggs are never defrosted. It's hilarious how the manosphere gets attacked for pointing out the 80-20 rule or 90-10 rule, when this is literally just sociology and basic math. It has nothing to do with toxic masculinity or hating women. These are just the facts. So tell me, is this expert a misogynist for saying it? Or does the truth suddenly become okay
Oh,
when it
God.
comes from a woman? They
Yeah.
need to start teaching hypergamy in school at this point.
Yeah.
Biology class. It's literally female nature. But we all know they won't do that, because then birth rates would decline even faster. And society is already struggling with that problem.
And Stephanie,
Yeah.
there's also lots of conversations at the moment, it seems, about young
Oh,
men and
yeah.
how they feel about their place in the world, particularly in the West.
So Male Malaise describes the idea that young men are struggling to understand their place in the world as women are empowered. And that's creating a kind of a gap in expectation, say, or a gap in income. So the gap in expectation could be young men who don't expect that they should have a 50-50 partnership at home, and women who expect that. So there's a divergence in values, and this
Yeah, and of course, a lot of men growing up, I'm sorry, we've now grown up to like, oh, we need to put the women on the pedestal. But no. And young men these days, or what is it, like even some of these like schools are like telling men, oh, you need to apologize for being such a misogynist. And the boys are like, what? What did I do? What did I do? I didn't do anything. And yeah, it's just growing up these days, oh man, just a tough world, especially for the younger guys. It's not. And anything guys points out, it's like, you're a misogynist. Do you guys know what that word means? We don't, because if we're misogynists, that means we have a hatred of women. No, we don't. It's just that now these days, these double standards are just out of control. Oh, you need to accept me for what I am, and you need to be this and that. And I'm like, oh, God, she's just going off on the tangent.
researcher Vincent Straub was saying that is really going to have a profound effect on fertility. But more than that this generation of struggling men are more likely to suffer from things like alcoholism or drug addiction. They're more likely to become prey to these deaths of despair, or depression, anxiety, addiction, and all of those things affect fertility socially, but also biologically. So he was really concerned. He is really concerned that we're overlooking this crisis among young men, and that we're overlooking its impact on fertility.
Do you see why it's important for men's voices to be heard? Let's be real. It's not looking good out there for men, especially young men. They are being fed lies about relationships, success, and what women really want. And the sooner they wake up and accept reality, the sooner they can find peace. Matter of fact, a lot of men found peace during the lockdown. Why? Because they realized, wait a minute, I can actually live without women. Not only that, I might even be better off without them. And that is another reason why birth rates are declining. Men are not interested. Men are opting out in droves. But here's the thing. This behavior isn't going to change until the environment changes. And speaking of that, listen carefully to what she says next.
And Stephanie, what about how society views children? Because it feels like that's changed as well in my lifetime anyway.
So that is at the core of what sociologists are now seeing in terms of the trends in Europe. So before, having a child and even getting married was seen as something you did on the bridge to adulthood. As you started out and in your life as an adult, you would get married in your early 20s as soon as you finished college, maybe. So it was seen as a cornerstone event, and now it's seen as a capstone event. So you get married and you have children. Once you've achieved all the other things that you want to achieve in life, once you've arrived at a certain place in your career, once you've bought a house, once you've ticked all these boxes. And that's a profound shift because people are delaying having a child until they achieve those things, and often aren't achieving those things, and as a result aren't having children.
Fellas, stay sharp, stay focused, and as always, manosphere, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.
Yeah, shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily. And yeah, especially again for the younger guys or just guys in general. How many of them actually got maybe not saying it's their mother, sister, or family member. How many of these guys actually got complimented by a female? I don't think a lot at all has ever heard you're good, you're great, Guys don't hear that, because that's the thing. Guys have to bring their own value, and it is what it is. And yeah, so there you go. So yeah. So, by the way, if you enjoyed any of this content, please give me the HKO special, help the king out. Hit the like, subscribe, and comment. And wherever you are, stay safe, and I'll see you in my next video.